Well, we're privileged this morning to have Aisling with us here in the studio, so let me welcome her right now. Thank you, Aisling, for coming to our Surbiton studios.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, so just give us a little bit of your background yourself, because you're a young woman, 23 or something, right?
Yes, 23.
What are you doing bringing legal cases to court? That's quite a big job to do.
Yeah, so I've been passionately pro-life from the age of 15. I've volunteered with a pro-life organisation called Abort 67 since that age. That happened because I went to a presentation where I heard an amazing speaker called Stephanie Gray speak about the inhumanity of abortion and what happens in an abortion procedure. And she showed a video of an abortion procedure, and I saw the dismembered bodies and broken bodies of these babies, and I couldn't believe this was happening. And after seeing that, I knew I could no longer do nothing. I had to do something to help educate the public about the reality of this, of abortion. And so I volunteered from the age of 15 with Abort 67, just engaging the public. So when I was I think I was 19 years old, I saw the Daily Telegraph footage where they showed two doctors agreeing to do abortions based on the gender of a child. And I couldn't believe that after a year-long investigation, the Crown Prosecution Service decided to essentially drop the cases or not prosecute these doctors because they said it wasn't in the public's best interest to do so, even though there was a reasonable chance of conviction for both of these doctors. So when I saw that, you can see it on the Daily Telegraph website, I was like, well, someone has to do something about this, and someone has to pursue justice for the most vulnerable members of our society. And so I decided to do so.
Good for you. Now, I believe we've got footage of that to hand, right. So let's have a look at this right now. This secret filming that's exposed the abortion scandal that Aisling's talking about.
Hello, hi. This is my stepsister Holly. Hi. Me and my partner went to France for a holiday, and we had a blood test there, and we found out that there's a really high chance that we're having a girl, and that's not really appropriate for us right now. We were hoping for a boy, so we're not looking to have this baby at the moment.
And how certain are they about this fetal gender?
It is pretty certain, yeah. They don't tell you otherwise.
I'm curious, do you have any reports?
No, I didn't bring any of it with me, sorry. I didn't really think I needed to.
No, I don't ask questions.
Yeah.
You want a termination, you want a termination.
Yeah, that's my reason for it.
That's my job.
Yeah.
That's all. I don't ask questions.
Okay.
And then you'll wait, and then you'll have a pre-op, and then...
Yeah, well, it's better to be done quicker, isn't it?
Not two private places. I mean, although it's the NHS hospital, it's part of my team. He does it in the...
Right, okay. So your team that you can refer me to for the...
Yes. Well, you'll just get seen by this one doctor. His name is Dr.
Yeah.
But you will be treated as a private patient. It's basically social reasons. Okay. So, there's no medical contraindications. She's in good health. So, I'll get that organised however it takes. She doesn't want to go through NHS. Okay, so... That's right, because you're part of our team and she doesn't want questions asked.
I think because of circumstances as well, you know, it just...
And you've considered your options?
Oh, absolutely, but, you know, definitely that it's the wrong gender. I can't have it this way because of the gender, so that's just how it is. A certain positive, that's what I want, so...
So, Aisling, what was really going on there? This is a reporter who's pretending really to be pregnant, right?
Yes.
And presenting herself, saying that this is a female in my womb and doesn't want it.
Yes.
So do you want to carry on explaining this? Because we haven't got the other footage apparently with showing the doctors, so you can tell us about that as well.
Yeah, so the Telegraph decided to do a sting operation into 9 abortion clinics in the country to see if gender selection abortion was happening. And because this practice is very common in places like India and China, where it's estimated that over 100 million girls are missing due to gendercide. So they did this sting operation to see if it was happening in the UK. And it's totally illegal. You're only allowed to have an abortion if 2 doctors come together in good faith to decide that for a woman to continue the pregnancy would greatly affect the mother's mental health or physical health. So that's the only category that she can come under to have an abortion. So yeah, they did this to test the law to see if it was happening, and they discovered that 2 doctors were willing to sign for gender selection abortions. One doctor, Dr. Raj Mohan, which you didn't see in the footage there, he used a pre-signed form, so there was no other doctor that saw the patient.
So that was in his drawer, ready to come out,
I
pre-signed.
guess so.
I've seen this myself on other stings.
Yes, which is illegal. And then he said that's female infanticide, and said he'd write down she was too young instead as the reason for the abortion. So falsifying evidence, using a pre-signed form, gender selection abortions, no good faith because there weren't 2 doctors coming together to agree that she came within the Act. And so if you fall outside the Abortion Act, you fall underneath the 1861 Offences Against the Persons Act, which says if you procure a miscarriage or if you cause an abortion, you could face a penal servitude for life. So that's the gravity of the law, that if you take a life, you could fall under the 1861 Act. So because doctors aren't taking the law seriously and it hasn't been tested like this, this case was perfect in testing the law to see if this was,
So what has your experience been now to court, and what have they said?
Yeah, we applied to the Magistrates' Court, and then we went to the Crown Court, with both doctors, and essentially in the Magistrates' Court they said there was enough evidence to provide a realistic prospect of conviction. So we went to the Crown Courts, but the Crown Court judge said that, well, we needed the full footage. We need the full footage that the Telegraph had and that the Crown Prosecution Service had, which was, you've just seen a small extract there, but I figure it's probably about a 20-minute, all in all, full footage. So we needed that in order to have a fully informed prosecution. And
You provided that?
Yes, so the judge refused to give us that footage when we reached the Crown Court. So they refused to give us the evidence which we applied for.
How come the judge had just as I'm sure your lawyer or your legal representative is going to be following your interview in a minute or two. So what was the reason that the court had that video? Well, surely that the Telegraph would have had that if it was a sting.
So the court can summons evidence. So as the Crown Prosecution Service had it and the Telegraph had it, they can summon it to court. That's what I've understood. But you can clarify with my lawyer.
Okay.
So
but
when
they
we
refused
applied,
to enter it into as evidence.
So basically, the judge in Manchester, when we applied for the evidence, they refused to give it to us. And based on that, they decided that, the CPS decided to intervene and drop the cases.
Didn't they say it was not in the public's interest to take this any further or to bring
both
CPS?
times. So when the Crown Prosecution Service first investigated it in, I believe it was 2012, 2013, they said, looking at all the evidence, there was enough evidence to provide a realistic prospect of conviction, but it wasn't in the public's interest to do it. So the second time when they intervened, when I got to the Crown Court stage, they said, again, it's not in the public's best interest to continue with this prosecution. They took over the case, dropped it, and then I was left with the legal bills for both of the doctors, which came to about £37,000. So we applied to the High Courts to appeal this decision, and in the High Courts they refused our application and awarded an extra £10,000.
So was there a proper understanding or explanation by the judge of why it wasn't in the public's interest to bring this? Because it seemed to me that, as a layman, that it is in the public's interest because the doctors acted illegally.
Yeah. Well, I don't actually remember hearing anything in court on how it wasn't in the public's best interest. So that's always baffled me. as a member of the public, I'm like, surely it should be in the public's best interest to prosecute doctors who have broken the law. The law can only protect if it's enforced. So it made no sense to me, and that's why I took the case in the first place. So actually, I'm still baffled by that.
Well, when I talk to your solicitor, I look forward to hearing probably a better explanation, perhaps a legal understanding of what the situation really is and where you go from here. I mean, is there any other redress you can bring this up to? You've been to the High Court and they've not held it up for you, have they?
So regarding the costs, my application was denied. So there's no further appeal that I can make. So I can't pay these costs. I'm a 23-year-old. I can't pay the costs. So so I've already had a visit from the bailiffs once. And I'm expecting to be taken back to court in mid-September time, where I will appear before a judge and say I can't pay the costs, and we'll see what happens from there. So they could decide to, I don't actually know what they could do, but they could decide to reduce the costs, or they could decide to, I could pay it over a long period of time, or enforce a prison sentence. So that's where it's at the moment.
I'd be interested to hear from our viewers. We are live on our morning, and this hopefully will get repeated tomorrow night on The Late Show. But let's hear from you now, live at revelationtv.com, or also the SMS number that's on your screen, and gladly read out your particular views or any questions you want to put to Aisling or the solicitor, which will be following. That's Libby Powell, who will be coming in a minute or two. But live right now on our mornings, please do email us and text us now. With regards to, I mean, you're such a young person, Aisling, to really got into this. I remember I was probably around the age of 43 before I actually became aware of what was going on at the time of an abortion. I was a camera person, and I was living in America at a music studio there. I just bought myself a camera, and a professional camera, but I got involved in going out to one of these sort of demonstrations outside of an abortion clinic by pro-lifers, and it was peaceful, by the way. And it was when I saw the sort of photos of the unborn, and they'd had their bodies dismembered at the time of being aborted, also the saline solution burns, and children that was just so beautiful. Saw no reason why that child would have to lose its life. And I don't think our generation really understands the situation with abortion. It's almost like they've been deceived. I can remember, you want to put it in some sort of context, when I was a young person, and I was born just after the Second World War, and I was watching things on the Holocaust, the Holocaust and what happened there with Hitler murdering 6 million people, mainly Jews. And I was thinking, I said to my parents, why did you allow this? And I'm wondering whether or not today, or perhaps in the future, and hopefully not the too distant future either, that this generation might say, how can we do this? How can we abort the children in the womb? It's just like en masse that we're doing it, millions.
Yeah. So when we look back through history, we see discrimination against religion, discrimination against gender or race, and people have been killed because of that. And now we have discrimination against age, where this is the biggest genocide ever recorded in the history of mankind. It's on our watch. It's 56 million a year worldwide, every year. And 1 in 3 women have at least one abortion in the UK. So it's in most of our neighbourhoods and our families as well. Most people have been affected in some way by abortion. So I think the most important thing is that people are educated about who the preborn child is. Are they people? And if they are people, shouldn't they have human rights? And the most basic of human rights is being denied them. So as they are members of the human family, and as they can't speak for themselves, the Bible tells us to speak up for those who are destitute. and to defend the rights of the widow and the orphan. So we're called, this is our call, everyone's call.
I can remember reading in Scripture many, many years ago, probably 30, 40 years ago, where I got the understanding that God was definitely for protecting the unborn, and that was, I think it was in Exodus or something, right, where it says that if a man was to struggle with a woman, you know, more or less get into an argument or fight, and physically, if she was to lose the child, the unborn, because of that struggle or fight, he was to forfeit his life. So that's how important it was to God in protecting the unborn child.
Yeah.
Do you think God's changed his mind?
Oh, absolutely not. And we see in Psalm 139 as well, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. And also when we look at the story of John the Baptist and Mary when she came and visited Elizabeth, and John leapt in his mother's womb, but he leapt at the presence of Jesus in the form of the very early embryo. He was just a few days old.
Yeah, exactly,
so he recognized his Messiah even then. So absolutely, goodness, God is...
So we can get from the principle from Scriptures that it's that the child is of absolute importance, it is human, and it is alive, and it is to be accountable. Ironically, when people ask my age, I always add the 9 months I was in the womb, because that's how old I am.
Yeah,
not
true.
Since I came out.
Yeah.
You know, I get a bit of derision on that. But anyway, some of the other things perhaps that you want to say whilst you got an opportunity, because this is live TV.
Yeah. I would say that from my experience, it's, you know, it might look very bleak or quite dark what I'm going through, but in comparison to what preborn babies are going through, they're literally being ripped apart limb by limb inside their mother's wombs, on the scale of 200,000 a year in the UK. What I'm going through is really nothing in comparison, so I do find it a privilege to be able to stand for them, and even to be persecuted slightly for it. So I would just encourage people to be brave and to make a stand and to fight for those who are vulnerable, the most vulnerable members of our society. Get educated. There's so many ways you can get educated. We need to be able to artfully communicate the pro-life message to win hearts and minds. So we have a Clarkson Academy that's running this year if people want to sign up for that.
How do they do that?
So you can sign up for that by going on abort67.co.uk, and there's a link on that. So sign up for the Clarkson Academy, where you'll be taught how to artfully and winsomely communicate the pro-life message, loving the person as well as
Good. Well, apparently we have that clip now.
Brilliant.
With the other doctors, and that if we have a look at that now, and then we'll start to look at your emails and texts which are coming in. Thank you so much.
And housing on home? And why do you want this donation?
Me and my partner found out the gender in France through a blood test that you can have the early pregnancy, and it's another girl. We don't want a girl again because the last time. So.
Is that the reason?
What's the reason?
Right. That shouldn't. How did they test it?
They can. It's something to do with mother's blood carries. I can't think now.
Did they say chromosomes?
It's like chromosomes, the X and Y.
Yeah, that's
you
right.
can tell, So it's pretty certain.
Where are you from, basically?
Me, London.
Right. That's not fair.
It's not.
You used to. Yeah. It's like
It's really. Can we not put down
isn't it? I mean, yeah.
Can we put down a different reasoning? Because I'm really not wanting this pregnancy.
That's right, yeah. Because it's not a good reason either.
Okay, so you can't put that down on paper then?
But too young for pregnancy. Yeah?
Yeah, that's fine.
So Aisling, there we managed to get that particular footage. Is that what the court was holding as evidence?
Yes, so we have this as evidence, and we have the other video that you've seen previously, but what we really wanted was the full video footage, so the whole consultation with both doctors. So that's what we were looking for when we applied to the court for the full evidence.
And they refused to give it?
And they refused to give it.
And they said it's not in the public interest, basically, to show it.
Yeah, essentially. Which makes you wonder what was on that footage.
Exactly, yes.
So,
well, I suppose the practical things going forward is how you're going to pay for this court fine, or if you end up having to go to prison, you're saying that you're quite willing to do that for the sake of standing up for the principle.
So at the moment, I totally believe the costs are completely immoral and unjust. So what I'm wanting to do is just to end up back in court and see what happens there on that date. I'm encouraging people to write to their MPs about this situation. You can look on Christian Concern on the website to see how to do that. So just to raise awareness in a governmental level of what's happening. So that's what I'm really looking for the viewers to do.
Lovely. Well, let's read some of the emails and texts that are coming in. First one is Ashling. What a beautiful young lady, a very good spirit. God bless you all and keep up the good work, says Dan. Anne writes in and says, how do we donate towards Ashley's costs? So there's a practical
So at
proposition.
So at the moment I'm waiting to appear back in courts, but if people want to be, Christian Concern have been giving me free legal counsel and doing everything completely free for me. So if they want to support Christian Concern and all the work that they're doing and all the other cases they're doing, please donate to Christian Concern. At the moment I'm waiting for that appearance in court in September.
Okay, and that's all the W's, christianconcern.com is the website. Okay, so do go to that as well. Let's carry on. Can we set up a fund for her at Rev TV to pay her fees? Well, we just dealt with that. She is a superhero. Let's support her as her family. Church Without Walls, that is. Dear Ashleen, thank you so much for sharing about your struggle against gender abortion in this country. You are so brave and truly encourage all of us as the body of Christ to stand for truth and justice in Jesus' name. How can we as a body of Christ help you apart from praying for you? Again, these are practical ways which people are looking to help. That's great. Would a petition to drop any charges against you potentially help? I'm sure your lawyer Libby would be listening to all of these suggestions as well and will have some answers for us when she comes on in a few minutes. Can we raise funds to help cover the costs, etc.? Just know that you are truly an ambassador of Christ in this area of society, and I'm sure the nursery of heaven along with all of heaven are right behind you, Ashling. You're an inspiration. Every blessing. Susie from Hastings, not far from where you've come up from then, yeah? Oh no, that's a little bit further along. Can we set up a fund? Same thing, superhero, bless you. And Peter writes in, says, such a terrible injustice this is. It's such an upside down life we're living in these days. Right is wrong and wrong is right. We'll be praying for Ashling that justice will prevail. Loving blessings, Hazel. Actually, it's on Peter's email, sorry, but it's Hazel. Thank you, Hazel. This abortion discussion is so appalling. These doctors should be struck off, surely. And with regard to Ashling's court costs, that's unbelievable. Couldn't she get or set up a petition for these costs from solicitors and barristers, etc., who are discussed with this or involved in this outcome? Some of the times when people write, the spell checker doesn't always do me any favours, especially being dyslexic. We will all be praying for this matter, says Barbara from Horn Church. You did explain really that your particular legal advice and everything else have come through Christian Concern as being without Centre. Cost.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, they've supported me 100%.
Brilliant. Brave girl, gender selection abortion. This is from Dawn in Suffolk. Hi Howard, please thank your guest for coming on the show today to talk about this very important issue, and I think you are a very brave girl. And as this country is giving their babies as a sacrifice, though they don't understand it, I say again, I think that you're a very brave girl to stand up against the authorities, especially concerning gender selection abortion. I believe that abortion is an evil practice. There are hospitals where there are 2 patients, I don't understand that, who are mothers in surgery with the same aged unborn baby. Doctors trying to save one in one room, I see what you mean, where you come from, and kill the one in another room. You know, this is interesting. The dilemma here, we know. I pray all things will come together for good, and for all the costs to be met, and you won't have to face a jail sentence. Stay strong and courageous. Hope that Christian Concern will be able to help further as well. May many lives be saved through the pressure brought by Christians against these issues. And also the woman on the phone to the doctor could have lost her life through that gender selection abortion if she had not been born in time or something. Anyway, many other thoughts of our viewers that really want to help. Just one more here. I hate abortion, but you are being tested like Job was, and I put a lot about how bad abortion is on the Twitter and Facebook. God bless, from Colin in Wrexham. Thank you. And I have to read as if I'm reading without the texting shorthand in there. It's very hard for dyslexic people to do that. But anyway, coming back to what you might want to finish with, Ashley, because we're going to do a switch in a minute, get your lawyer on as well, so we can hear from the professionals, as it were, how we could perhaps deal with some of the practical ways of helping you a bit further.
Yes, so I would just encourage people, as you're going to hear from my lawyer in a minute, to get yourself educated. Be a pro-life ambassador yourself. There's a huge difference between being pro-life in who you are and actually being pro-life in action. So get educated. Even I'd encourage you to see a video of an abortion. I know it'd be really hard to do, but just see it so that your heart can be broken for what breaks God's heart. So you can do that. There's a video called Here's the Blood. Go on abort67.co.uk. Just encourage you to see it, just so that you can really see what's happening. And it's just like taking the walls off the abortion clinic and saying, look, this is what's happening. This is their story, and their story has a right to be told, as it is. Get educated and make a stand yourself.
Like you suggested, really, actually when you see, as it were, what abortion is all about and how the unborn actually really suffers. I mean, you would not wish it on anybody, that you would actually put a stop to it. And we have occasionally shown such pictures, and it is a difficult decision to make, because it's not, you've got to do it with the right motive as well, because it's so horrific, and it can actually upset a lot of people. But it has to be dealt with. It's like what I saw after the Second World War, when those Holocaust pictures and videos came through, and we saw them on our television screens, and as a young child it really did affect me, and I thought that should never ever happen again. That was only 6 million people. I say only, when we're talking, how many did you say?
56 million a year, according to the World Health Organization. So the population of England is 58 million, so it's like the population of England being wiped out every year silently.
Ashley, I want to say thank you very much, and if you need to have a platform again, please do remember Revelation TV will stand with you.
Thank you so much for having me on.
All right, God bless you.